right, looking good. All right. Tim Black's Wolfpack. Wow. Hey people, how you doing? My name is Tim Black. Welcome to the Tim Black Ignite Show. Happy Thursday to you. Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, everybody who's taking time out to check out the show. Glad to have you here. That's right. Glad you could stop by. Check this out, guys. I want to give a big shout out to the Tim Black's Wolfpack who have contributed to my Tim Black Needs a New PC Fund. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys for stopping by, going to my GoFundMe. I appreciate you. I'm going to be sending individual thank yous, but I meant to do that earlier today. Got a little tied up today, but I'm going to do it tonight. And if you're watching, I ain't forget about you. I got a personal thank you note for you. Also, my people on justinform.com, we're working the kinks out to get the Tim Black Coffee Show, guys. Tim Black Coffee Show is back in effect. We rebooted that. So that's the thing, right? That's the thing. It has returned. And so has my new Tim Black Coffee, which is delicious. El Paradiso, Cafe Paradiso is the name of the distributor. Every purchase, proceeds go to help schools. A school in America and a school in the country of origin where the beans were harvested. Always fair trade. Always fair trade. And that means we pay people a correct amount of money for their coffee beans. All right, guys. Wow, we got some stuff to get to. And I don't even know where to begin. There's so much happening, right? Maybe it'll talk to me, Now, maybe I don't want that. I don't want to play around. I don't want to play around now. My mom is superstitious, man. She had me worried my whole childhood. She gets something from a thrift store or auction or something like that, and then get home and then be worried. Like, hope there's no bad spirits in it. I'm like, you put it in here? Man, what you mean bad spirits? No, I didn't hear nothing. Did you hear that? I didn't hear nothing. Move something, forget your mood, and think it moved on its own. Look, I don't need these type of problems. Tim, what are you talking about? I'm talking about AOC and Bernie Sanders. At least I'm going to be talking about them because they teamed up on some legislation that is amazing. I'm talking about a CNN panel that you're going to be just like, wow, Tim Black, we got a lot of work to do. I'm talking about Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris fighting over California. Unintended consequences of identity politics. Pow! And to start things off tonight, I want to start off with Joe Biden. Joe the Biden. All right, so I was just before going to wrapping up, doing the research for the night show, trying to choose stories that I think my audience is very interested in, or I think they'll be interested in, or stuff that I know that I hope will resonate with my crowd. I ran across a story about Joe Biden. Joe Biden's raising a lot of money in Hollywood. Yeah, Pete Buttigieg may be the flavor of the month for Hollywood, but Joe Biden got their number when it comes to donations, man. They love Joe Biden. Oh, man, Joe Biden hauls in nearly $800,000 from A-lister Hollywood fundraiser last night. 800 grand, baby. Now, Pete Buttigieg may be the Democratic running for president, soaking up the LA spotlight, but the South Bend, Indiana mayor is going to have to do a lot of work because he's going to contend with Joe Biden. Never met, a Wall Street exec he didn't like, never knew a banking regulation he wouldn't rip down if it was going to help a bank, because those have been his number one contributors. In fact, it's kind of strange. Like, we got Hollywood and we got Wall Street. They both give to Joe Biden at unprecedented numbers. Ain't that special? So there was a fundraiser on May 8th. A big reward for one Hollywood regular, Biden's first ATM visit since formally announcing his fourth bid for the White House. One of them, once he saw that things weren't going to go well, he tried to pull his name back out the hat. He's like, "Oh, I'm a run. Uh-oh, maybe I shouldn't." So I count that because I'm petty that way. So Joe Biden leading in the dough and in the polls. If you believe the polls, I don't believe the polls. Do you believe the polls? Don't believe those polls. We use cell towers. We don't use poles. Telephone poles, that is. Biden's success may be a spurt out of the gate or a long-term problem for the more than 20 other Democrats who are in the race trying to replace Donald Trump. But he's knees deep in Tinseltown cash. In pursuit, Mayor Pete, the gay religious Afghanistan war veteran and Rhodes Scholar and Manchurian candidate and manufactured opposition and robot man, was in LA Thursday. Buttigieg started off at a union rally in support of a LAUSD ballot measure ahead of the June 4th election here, followed by a grassroots event in the afternoon. With the Ryan Murphy co-host cash grab for June 19th, today will be conclude for Mayor Pete with the fundraiser at the home of Gwyneth Paltrow and her husband, producer Brad Falchuk. Among the guests expected to be at the event for Pete, West Wing and Handmaid's Tale alum Bradley Whitford, co-host of last night's Biden Shindig, Jeffrey and Marilyn Katzenberg, are tonight co-hosting the Beverly Hills fundraiser for Buttigieg. So this is just a couple days ago. So anyway, it goes through a list of people who attended. And they're giving a lot of money to Joe Biden, $800,000. In his approximate 20-minute speech, Biden touched on a number of topics, such as working to help the middle class. No specifics. You know, we need to work together. You know, when I was with Barack, you know, when I told him, don't endorse me, don't do it, I would take it as an insult if you said I was the best person for the job. Barack, don't do it, buddy. Please don't do it. I don't know what I'd do to myself if you actually did that. I would be so horrified. Because last thing I want to do is be a part of a political party that would put our thumb on the scale during an election, sir. During his 20-minute speech, Biden touched on a number of topics, none of them specific, as he talked about helping the working class. They have a common theme for him the past several months and more since he jumped into the field of more than 20 Dems, the ex-Veep. Someone told Joe Biden, according to him, "You don't have a choice, Joe. You have to run. This isn't about you." Run, Joe, run, they told him. I don't want to do it. I didn't choose the job chose me. It's my duty as an American citizen to get in here and make sure Bernie Sanders doesn't get elected. I mean, to stop Trump. Folks, whether it's Pete Buttigieg or it's Joe Biden, one of the things that these Hollywood people are going to have a problem doing is telling me why. You know, other than the completely brain-dead ideas, thoughts, mumblings of, I don't know, complete imbeciles saying platitudes like, we want to unite everybody. A president should be an important job. The person that does their job should be qualified, should be capable, and more importantly, should show some type of track record that what you want to get done, they will get done. You know, it seems like being a president or running for president is the only job where the people who get to decide who does that job don't care about what you've done. They care about things like, does it make me feel good? Yeah, does he make me, do I think that other people will feel good if he in there? That would be a nice change. You know, if you were running, if you wanted to be, I don't know, dog catcher, head dog catcher, they want to know how many dogs you caught. What's your dog catching skills like? You know? Got any testimonies about how many dogs you rounded up? Do you hurt the animals when you catch them? Are you kind to the animals? What's your success rate on dogs? None of these questions are asked about a president. No, and then to ask them are to be helping Trump or Russia. You couldn't want to be the head packager at Walmart without somebody saying, hey, you ever packaged groceries before? Let me see you package a few. Let's see your skill set. Is there somebody I could call and check with to see how you did the packaging at the other Walmart if you wherever you used to work? Oh, no real track record, huh? Well, maybe we could get you in a training program. We need people that run in, start in knowing what they're doing. Sorry, sir, we can't accommodate you here. You have no job experience that is applicable to the position that we're seeking to fill. But not as president, though. Hey, you can get somebody like Joe Biden who has a track record of helping out Wall Street and banks. And people say, I don't care about that. I don't care about that, those banks being deregulated and Joe Biden was a part of that. Hey, man, he could bring people together. Who? People that used to watch Golden Girls with the people who used to watch MASH? What people exactly is he supposed to bring together? People who have dentures and people who use chairs to walk? I mean, I'm not knocking the old. I'm getting older every day. Believe me, I know. But what I'm trying to tell you is there's got to be a reason why you're saying he can bring people together. And who might those people be? You better not say black folks. And if you're a black folks saying Joe Biden going to bring you together, you need to do a little bit of research. Because if you had any problem at all with Hillary Clinton, you should have twice as many problems with Joe Biden. The guy, like Hillary Clinton, she worked on the campaign for a segregationist. Joe Biden wasn't segregationist. Damn idiots up here listening to these fools. The man actually supported segregation and was against busing. That's getting you out of your crap school into a better school back in the 60s, but back in the 70s, 80s, he was against that. So don't sit up here and tell me, don't talk to me about, or Tim, you just don't like the Democrats. No, I don't like Dixiecrats, mofo. I don't like liars. I don't like bigots. I don't like fondlers or whatever he is and pedos. And I don't like liars, scumbags. People who give money to 1% and say, screw me. Who sit up there and talk that rhetoric about how it don't matter if your child is raised in a dysfunctional PTSD environment because they're shoved into ghettos around other desperate people who have no opportunity. He said that don't matter. Lock them up, throw away the key. That's who you say can unite me? Unite me with who exactly? And don't come up here telling me that you are an ally to me without doing your homework and knowing anything about the candidate who you think will align us together. Joe Biden raised $800,000 in one night. He's going to be a problem because he's going to have money because a lot of rich dummies and smart. They're not all dumb. But see, Joe is not a friend of working people. He talks that, but he's not. Look at his track record. Look what he's done. He's also not a friend of your rights, a friend to your rights. They put him in there because they think the whole America is racist. And there are a lot of racists in there. There are a lot of racist people in America. Joe Biden fits right in with them really well. His focus is not our focus. If you're a working person, I don't know what you got to do, what you're doing listening to Joe. He's an actor. Look at what he's done. Patriot Act, stripped your rights away. They can come get you tomorrow, don't even got to charge you. Iraq War, worst blunder in U.S. history. Joe Biden, right all over it, all supportive of it. Horrible, horrible candidate. Horrific candidate. And all I'm doing is giving you facts. All I'm doing is laying out his record. You think you're charged up now? Are you charged up now, guys? Are you? Are you feeling it? Are we on the same page? I know some people that you watch, some of these newscasters, I don't try to be Don Lemon. I've seen a lot of mild-mannered people. This is the time for passion to be exhibited. It is time for us to put up and shut up and fight for what's ours. We got to speak up and stand up. It's time for a revolution. It can't be done by one man. And we cannot afford to sit on our hands or to behave quietly, nicely, like good little boys and girls while we are walked to the gallows, while income inequality spreads. That's part of Joe Biden. That's what Joe Biden's been about. That's what he's helped get done. He's been a part of the inequality that we experienced. He's not a solution to the problem. He is the problem. But, hey, he reminds me of old times. You know, so does Poison Ivy, but I don't want it no more. Had it 3 times when I was a kid. Don't want it back just because I'm used to it. Just because it used to happen. Just because I've had it before don't mean it was good for me. Inequality, income inequality going like this. One group going up, other group going down. Richer getting richer, poor getting poorer. And you want to put in somebody who was a part of that? I think not. All right, so let's move on, guys, because I can stay there for a while. I think I've expressed myself enough on that. Joe Biden's raising a lot of money because your actresses and actors that you idolize don't give a damn really about what you're going through. And don't have the time to find out. Either they are oblivious, which makes them dangerous, or they just don't give a damn, which makes them cruel and greedy and self-absorbed and selfish. And Biden supporters. And you ain't got to know it to be it. All right. Next story, guys. Since we're so charged up, and since I'm so charged up on this issue of voters, let's stay in that same vein. Here goes a clip from CNN. Let me set it up. I'm sorry, guys. Let me set this up for you. Okay, so CNN had a panel where looks to be like 6 or 7. I can't remember the exact number. CNN had a panel where they had some voters for 2020 in a room. They asked these voters if they had to vote today, like right now with the information that they have, who would you vote for? Who sends you starry-eyed? Who takes your breath away? And who would you give your vote to? The answers that they give may surprise you. You may be astonished. You may be disgusted and horrified. I know I was. And then I became resilient because I knew after listening to this clip, watching this clip, that there was a lot of work I was going to have to do. All right, now we'll do the clip.
The smartest, but I'm going with who I think.
And so I feel like when you're scared, and I'm scared.
But if the election were held today, who would you vote for? I know it's early days, but if the election were held today, who would you vote for?
Elizabeth Warren, without question. She has policy plans, she knows what she's doing, she knows where she wants to go, she has a bold vision for the future, and she wants to bring all of us with.
I'd probably vote for Joe Biden. I love Kamala Harris. I like Bernie. I like Elizabeth Warren. I think Elizabeth Warren is probably the smartest, but I'm going with who I think in the long run is going to present a vision, who's going to unify the country.
Pat?
Kamala Harris. I think she's provides a contrast to what Trump is. I think she provides a great opportunity to win.
Definitely Kamala Harris. Not only is she a woman, but she's also a woman of color. I feel like that she has the energy, she has the plan, she has the mindset to go against somebody so disgusting.
I will vote for her as well, although I love her, Elizabeth Warren's ideas.
And why do you like Kamala Harris more than Elizabeth Warren?
Just the fact, I think she represents something else. She's not the typical white woman like Elizabeth, and I see her like she will bring people together, and that's what we need.
Jessica?
If the election were today, I would vote for Joe Biden. I worked for the Obama campaign. I have a lot of positive feelings towards the Obama-Biden years. I feel like everybody says, oh, we need to go forward, we don't want to go back. I want to go back. I want to go back to those 8 years. I think that those 8 years were some of the best 8 years that we've ever had as a country.
I agree with
and so I feel like when you're scared, and I'm scared, and when you're worried, you want to go home. And to me, Joe Biden is home.
Appalling, depressing, frustrating, mind-numbing, excruciating, bewildering, distraught, vomit-inducing, flabbergasted, perplexed, discombobulated, mind screwed, effed up. All those things are what I felt. I went through a triathlon of emotions after watching that, realizing that only one person on that panel even mentioned policy. Someone told me recently, it reminded me that Donna Brazile said, presidents are chosen by uninformed voters. Donald Trump famously said in 2016, I love the uneducated voter. I love the uneducated voter. They're the greatest. They're dumb. Only one person. Their names are on the screen. Their faces are on the screen. And they had no basis for any argument at all. They didn't talk about one specific. Even the person who said, I like Elizabeth Warren's policies, didn't name one. But no one else even talked about policy. They talked about who they liked. You dumb, backwards Democrat. You will never, ever meet these candidates as a person. They're never going to come to your dirty house for a cookout. They're not going to hang around, come to your bar mitzvah, your child's school recital, or your bridge game, or your tunk game, or game of hearts, or your spades hand, or have a beer with you down at the local pub. None of that's going to happen, goofy mofo. What's going to happen is you're going to vote in somebody for the dumbest of all reasons, and then you're going to complain for 4 years about how nothing got done. Out of all the imbeciles that was on this panel, the one I hold the most accountable is the woman who said she worked on the campaign for Obama, and she said those was the good old days. I'd like to know for who. For who was the good old days? For you? There were more shootings. We were at war every minute of every day of his presidency. He at war in 7 places. Guess you don't count Iraqis, brown people in the Middle East as people. They don't count. And I know you don't count all the foreclosed homes that foreclosed. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but it was on his watch. And he did make a decision on how to deal with it. And just so happens him dealing with the financial crisis was not to help you or the people who were on the street, but to help the banks to make sure they could keep going. But that's fine to you. You have no problems with the banks getting bailed out. What about all the people who lost their homes? What about the opiate epidemic? Over 100 people dead every day, opiates. What about that? What about people unable to afford their pharmaceuticals? You don't think Obama could have used his executive pen and did something for the first 2 years where he had Congress and the Senate? The House and the Senate. We got the Louis Ledbetter deal, whatever that was for you, for women. I guess you feel good about that. Women, gays in DACA and anything, that was great. That's so great if you don't have a house to live in or a job because of this gig economy that he ushered in. Working with Tom Perez, changing the labor laws to make Uber and Lyft possible. And now look at us. Drivers got a strike because they're working 15, 16-hour days for below minimum wage pay and they have no benefits. But to you, that's good. You want to go back to it. You want to go back to a segregationist. Then you want to tell me how horrible Trump is. You waste the skin and flesh and space and time. But all of them in the same boat. I like Kamala. I wonder why you like her. Just because she can use your comb don't mean you should bring her home. If Kamala wasn't black, you wouldn't even be saying that dumb crap. You don't know nothing about Kamala. What do you know about her? What do you know about Kamala Harris? Name a policy that you know about her. Hey man, I like the guy who came and fixed my water heater, but I liked him because he fixed my water heater, not because he was black. I liked him because he did the job and he did it at the price he told me he was going to do the job at. And then afterwards, he did everything he was supposed to do, and he checked back on me to make sure everything was straight. He gave me good customer service. He completed the bargain, the deal we had. That's why I liked him. That's why I like him. Not because he black, not because he was a guy, not because he like Game of Thrones, not because he eat Impossible burgers. None of that. None of it. None of his hairstyle or Cardi B or his playlist or none of the other bullshit you fucking idiots think matters. You child. Kamala's been on the left, the right, the middle, every side that it took to win and never stood for anything specifically. Ever. Except one thing. I take that back. She stood for one thing. One thing consistently that Kamala Harris stood for during her whole career as a prosecutor and attorney general locking up poor black people. One thing she stood for unwaveringly, unflinchingly, without any substitutions. Her motherfucking self, you dumbass. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to curse so much. It's repugnant. These are the people that we fight for. These idiots who don't respect it, these people who will vote, who will sit there on these are not anonymous people. You saw them. Name on the screen, likeness on the screen, could give a damn about being informed. Not even I don't know yet. I need to check them out. I like this person, but I got to look at them more. None of that. Just, this one. Hold on a second. What kind of shoes you got on? Oh, I picked that one. Yeah, I like those shoes. Oh, you don't like broccoli? That one. Over here then. I work with the shoes. She like broccoli, I like broccoli. We same people. Damn idiots. What about that first lady? I like Bernie, and I like Elizabeth, and I like Kamala, and I like Joe Biden. And I know that Elizabeth's the smartest person, but I'm gonna go with the dumb dude, Joe Biden, who has nothing in common with the other three people I just mentioned, because hell, he'll unite us. And when your grandbaby gets shot in the head by an irate cop, I don't want to see your ass out in the street crying. You understand me? Deborah. Look like a Deborah. Dumb Deborah. Yeah, that's right. Tell the people. Tell them all. This is what we're up against. This is it, man. This is why we can't have nice things. They don't even bother going to a website. No one mentions Tulsi Gabbard because nobody cares about us dropping bombs on other countries, as long as we don't get no bombs dropped on us. Kill their babies. Sometimes you gotta kill babies. Sleep just fine. They say, oh, why we don't have money for school, after school programs for the children's here? Because spend all the money on bombs, dummy. But you didn't care. You didn't care. In the make-believe world of lollipops and unicorns and rainbows and leprechauns and do big Dumbo do. I don't care. All right, guys. I'm gonna shift gears. This show is brought to you by you and me. Oh yeah, it's up to you and I if we're gonna wake up these big dummies, these poor dummies and these rich dummies and all these dummies. If we're gonna wake them up and inform people and somehow pull them into the light, it's gonna take all of us working together. So if you support this show, if you think this show is a good idea, maybe it'll jar some of these cinder block headed, thick skull having people into realizing how important activism is, how important where you get your news is. That we got a food desert. We got a reality desert, a truth desert when you cut on cable TV. That's where you are. And the independence is the only way to go. Become a member of the Tim Black Wolf Pack. This wolf behind me, that's what we do. We growl, we stand up, we fight for ours. You may never see me on any of these panels on the Joy Reid Show, but you know what? I'm right here when you need me. And I'm not brought off or paid for. So become a member of Tim Black Wolf Pack. Do it on YouTube or Facebook. And let's keep the party going. All right, so I got another clip, guys. This one's very long. I say that, but you know what? Let me set it up properly. Maybe you'll watch most of it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders have introduced legislation that I think is remarkable and it needs to be done. It should have been done 10 years ago. It's the Loan Shark Prevention Act. All right, so this legislation, Bernie's introducing it in the Senate, obviously. AOC is introducing it in the House, and it will cap interest rates at 15%. This also applies not only to home lending and credit card companies, but also to payday loan lenders. Yeah, those vultures. I don't even think those people are people. I think they're another species. They're cannibals. But they only eat a certain kind of people. Poor people. Yeah. So this legislation introduced today is amazing legislation. It answers the question of how much are we going to take from these credit card companies? Because see, what happens is people nowadays, when they need money, they don't go to a loan shark. They go to their credit card. If they have them, they go to their credit card, and the amount of interest on those credit cards is astronomical. So capping it at 15% would be doing a hell of a great job, even though 15 is way too high. But the average American with decent credit can pay as much as 21% interest. That's the median. If you got bad credit, the median is like 24.9. There are people paying 30%. Now, hey, back when I was right out of high school, maybe like 22, a friend of mine was in the car business. And I remember selling cars and having to talk to people, and you know, interest rates would come up. And I had one rule that I would tell people, and I was a very young person. But when it came to those high interest rates, I would look a person in the eye and tell them, sometimes you're not supposed to get a new car. Sometimes you're supposed to keep the little bit of money you got because you are poor. You're supposed to buy a used car out of pocket. Maybe you shouldn't spend this amount of money on a vehicle. Maybe you shouldn't. Now, obviously, I didn't last that long because that was too true, too real. Maybe you don't need to have 30% interest. But then there's other type of people that have emergencies. Now, we know in the United States, a lot of people have, most people don't have truly a savings account. Now, the savings account with, money in it. And since the case is, the reality is, most Americans, half of Americans couldn't afford a $500 emergency. We know that those people don't have a lot of money just laying around. So when those emergencies creep up, they end up going to a modern day loan shark. Now, the modern day loan shark works in a little building. If you're in the black community, there's one on every other block. So they're like liquor stores. And in that building, if you go in there, you may not know it or not, but you get raped. Yeah, you get raped. You come out with money though. But later on, after you're unable to pay that $300 in full back, that's when you start feeling the raping occur. Yeah, that's when the rape starts really happening. It's a delayed rape. See, when you sign up for that payday loan, you get raped later. It's like, hey, rape me in 30 days. Then rape me again in 60 days, in 90 days, in 120 days. Just keep raping me, raping me, raping me, raping me. Anyway, I'm going to let Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders explain it to you in better terms. It's a video where they're going to explain it all. I love the combination of Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on this. And here goes that clip.
%50 of the American people have almost zero. You got nothing in the bank and you're living paycheck to paycheck. Guess what happens if your kid gets, guess what happens if you have any kind of an emergency? You got to go money. And the way people borrow money today, now we have a situation, and this to me is not just an economic issue, it is a moral issue, where you have nothing in the bank and you're living paycheck to paycheck. Guess what happens if your kid gets, guess what happens if you have any kind of an emergency? Interest rates. And then on top of that, what is not widely discussed, you go to Macy's, you go to Kohl's, you go to any large department store, and they say, hey, get our credit card. Well, you get their credit card. What you don't know is you're going to be paying something like 27% interest rates on that credit card. That's right. 27%. Now, how much do the banks borrow money at? They borrow money from the Fed at 2.5%. And then they charge people 18, 20, 25% interest rates. And here's what is even uglier. The poorer you are, the more desperate you are, the higher the interest rates are. Now, what Alexandria and I are proposing in our legislation is something that is not complicated. It just takes us back to where we were a number of years ago, and that is that no bank in this country should have credit card interest rates of over 15%. So we're bringing back the concept of usury laws, where people cannot where banks cannot try to get blood out of a stone. Previously, you had states like Alabama that charged maximum 8%, Vermont 12%. Many states had maximum amounts of interest rates that credit card companies can charge. But as a result of the Marquette decision back in 1980, I think, essentially that was nullified. And we're gonna bring that back. Last point that I wanna make, and I'll give it over to Alexandria, is that an additional crisis, but part of this whole situation, is that many poor people don't have access to banking services.
That's right.
Because the big banks are not worried about somebody who, makes $10 an hour. They can't make enough money off of that. So,
All right, guys. Well, basically, I'm glad I was able to check my comments. Thank you, guys. Some folks on, I think it was on YouTube, and told me that the volume was way too low on that video. It's long anyway. It's like 25 minutes. But I think a lot of people need to watch it because I do feel that it's important, and it does educate you into really how despicable these predatory lenders are, and that these predatory lenders are not just the payday loan people either. These banks are horrific. I didn't know that banks only borrow money at 2.5%. I didn't know that. That's a lot of profit. Isn't that an unconscionable amount of profit? To pay 2.5% on something and then jack the price up to 30%. I mean, isn't that like... What I'm trying to tell you is, I've known some rough people growing up, like people who were living the street life. The type of life where you can get shot, killed, or stabbed, or nobody ever hear from you again because somebody threw you in a dumpster. Like, I knew these types of people who played on the wrong side, who went into a life of crime, A lot of them are dead or in jail forever. But the ones before they died or went to jail forever, for the things that these banks do to people, oh man, if you were a person on the street, you'd be gone a long time ago. I mean, if you actually loaned somebody something that you paid 2.5% on and then you loaned it out for 30% and you didn't tell them, or they found out that you were gouging them in that way, let's just say if we heard about something happening to you after doing that to someone, we'd be like, well, yeah, that makes sense. Got what they had coming. Because in the street life, or in the people who live that way, there's a certain code. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. There's a certain code of respect that you have to pay people in order to live. But in our current system, these people have no respect at all. You know who they have no respect for? Poor people. No respect for poor people at all. See, this is when we start getting into this whole thing about class, right? It's true. In that clip, it's available on Facebook. I was just told on Facebook it's a much better quality product on Facebook for that video if you want to check it out, which I'm going to have to find because I'll have to do a separate video on that conversation because it was such a riveting conversation. But I'll tell you this, to be able to walk down the street, to be able to live comfortably without looking over your shoulder, the type of activities that our banks engage in on a daily basis, you would never be able to do that in real life. So they take advantage of people because you're poor and you can't do anything about it. Alexandria Ocasio brings up a quote. I forget who originally made it, but she gives some credit. She attributes it to the correct person. She says, being poor is too expensive. It's very expensive to be poor. And then Bernie chimes in and they break it down and they talk about how much more you pay for items like food and vegetables, amongst other things, So anyway, guys, tough. So, and look, guys, and also I want to make it clear, I understand we have a Republican-led Senate, and that there is no possibility at all of this passing right now, okay? But what it does, and I want you to think about this, it sets up the agenda. See, there was a time when we talked about Medicare for all, $15 an hour. Actually, it wasn't that long ago. Last cycle, when we were talking about these things, people looked at us like we were crazy. They said we were living with our heads in the cloud, all because Hillary said it couldn't be done. Hillary said it couldn't be done, so we were all stupid for believing it could be done. Now, 8 states have adopted $15 an hour. But because one person, Hillary, who represents the establishment, who all these Hollywood types kissed her butt, because she said, we need to be incrementalist. We need to be incrementalist and vote for a woman. Because she went out and said that, they believed it. And what I'm trying to say is, though, obviously, because the Republican Party is so in bed with the banks, just like Joe Biden, that's why they get along with Joe Biden so much. They call him sensible. Joe is nothing but a sellout. The thing is, this pushes the conversation, because I don't believe all conservatives go, yay, banks make more money, I make nothing. Yay, banks win, we lose, this is great. I feel more patriotic every time a banker buys a new Mercedes. I don't think all conservatives feel that way. I think regardless to if you're conservative or liberal or very liberal or centrist or whatever you, moderate or whatever you are, right? Even my, Christian folks, my Christianity folks, guy escapes me. Right, yeah? Even you guys, like there's got to be like a limit to how much you want to get plowed through. At some point you got to say, hey, slow down, man. Stop. I don't go that way. Stop. Like at some point you got to say, hey, maybe, no, thank you. You got to stop wanting to get punished by the 1% at some point. And I believe when you introduce legislation like this, it starts a conversation, a national conversation. That's why when I hear people say, oh, it'll never get done and this will never pass, I look at them and say, you don't understand how things come into fruition. You don't understand that in the beginning, there's a thought. But if the thought never comes out the mouth, then it can never travel around the consciousness and invade the consciousness of the people. That's where we start. You start by spreading the idea. You start by having a candidate like Bernie Sanders talk about Medicare for all, or a candidate like Ocasio-Cortez, and people do a lot of discrediting of her, but I like her on this. Give her credit. I like her on this. When she starts talking about these check cashing places that take 10% of people's paycheck just to cash their paycheck, all profit. I want to see some credit given. Don't contact me anymore about it, all right? You know who I'm talking about. So anyway, the point is, someone has to start the conversation, and that's how things leads to change. Everything's not a direct step to change, guys. It's been that way in every movement, in everything that's ever materialized, and any change that's ever occurred in the United States. It was never a direct, do this changed. Do this thing, and then everything changed. It's never been that way. It only appears that way if you only start paying attention to the last step, the thing that just happened just before that. But there's always all these moves. It was the March to Selma. Right? It was every rally, every sermon, every billy club, every rock, the dogs being sent, the little girls getting blown up in the church. It is all these things culminating. The assassination of Martin Luther King. It was all these things, Medgar Evers, all these things, the pressure for Malcolm X, all these things culminating to push us in that direction towards more civil rights. Not a perfect at all. And not even done, not even halfway done. But these people have in their heads that if it doesn't go, take the key, put the key in and lock the door open, then it ain't worth doing. But sometimes you got to go get the key made, you know? Got to go a couple places to get the key made. Then you go back to the lock and the key don't fit. Then you got to go back, say, man, why that key didn't work? You got to go back. Then sometimes there's more steps, but that shouldn't deter you. That should push you, because we do what we have to do to get the job done. Speaking of getting the job done, Kamala Harris may be on the top of the minds of some of the people in that CNN poll, that meeting, but it appears that in California, she's not the only flavor of the month. No, it's not the only flavor of the month. In fact, she may not even carry California, and she may have fundraising problems, not just from Joe Biden, but from Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, old man Pete's really raising a lot of money. He's turning a lot of heads. This just out in Politico. California Democrats, especially those who with ties to the influential LGBTQ in Hollywood communities, are finding themselves torn between a home state senator, who they love, Kamala Harris, and an out-of-state suitor who has suddenly captured their attention. Come here, Petey Pete. You kitty little Pete. It goes on to say this is an unsettling dynamic. The Democratic presidential primary in California, home to an early 2020 March contest that offers a motherload of nearly 500 delegates. No two candidates are crowding each other quite so closely here, or elbowing each other quite so aggressively in the pursuit of some of the party's most generous and influential donors than Kamala and Pete. So basically what I'm trying to tell you guys is, Pete running may be a good thing. See, I don't think Pete can pull enough of anything to beat, to get the nomination. But he can damage Kamala Harris. He can pull some votes from Kamala. And I've been telling you that Kamala Harris is the most dangerous, I feel, the most dangerous candidate to Bernie Sanders. It's just what I believe. We'll see how this shapes out. There are people who are going to go with Kamala because of identity, because she can speak so well. They're going to overlook everything. They are. They ain't going to they're going to sit around and try to ask questions like, hey, so why were you a prosecutor? You know what prosecutors do, right? Hey, why the guy whose DNA test came back that he couldn't have possibly killed the lady, why you didn't let him out? They're not going to ask crazy questions like that. Hey, why threaten a mother with jail for a child that she's having problems raising? Why not support services? I'm just saying. Why didn't you support legalizing marijuana? Why did you support the death penalty if you say in your book you know how corrupt our system is and how racist it is? Why did you support the death penalty? Just questions. So it's really sad what we're up against. But anyway, guys, I thought it was a very interesting article. We're going to see how this shapes out. We got Man Pete, and people like him. Because he's, like he says, he's not all about the details about the policies. We'll get to that later. Right now, let's just talk about our vision. You know, our vision for the country. Meaning, we need to make sure we say what we think you want us to say. Wait till we find that out, then we'll tell you. Let's just keep the money coming in right now, you know. Look at my husband. Isn't he cute? Keep the money coming in. Look at my dog. I like dogs. Most Americans like dogs. Keep the money coming in. We'll talk about what I actually will try to get done later. Follow me on Twitter at Real Tim Black and Facebook at Real Tim Black and Instagram is Tim Black at Night. You know, we tell hard truths here. Sometimes they're too hard. And tonight's been a hard night. I've been punching away. My knuckles hurt. I may have cracked or fractured my ring finger. But I tell you guys, we got to fight. This is not going to be for the timid. They're throwing Joe Biden at us. They're throwing Kamala Harris. They're throwing Pete Buttigieg. And Lord have mercy, Beto O'Rourke. Oh, God, guys, I watched the Beto O'Rourke video. I watched a couple Beto O'Rourke videos today. Hey, what time is it, Beto? Listen, you got space, time, continuum. There are reasons to believe in things, its place in space. Opportunity lies within our ability to know where we are, to where we want to get to. These things matter more. I spend time with my child. My child is 8. 8 is a great number. It's the number of things that we have in common that are so important and influential. I want to give of myself at least 8 times more than the average person. I'm 8 times taller than a 3-year-old. This is our mission. I've asked you what time it was. 10:23. And that's how all of his speeches were. No matter what the question was, when you asked the question, he didn't just answer it. He'd go for a ride down the street, go around the block, stop at the liquor store, go pick up the dry cleaning, pick up some ice, come by, say hello to a friend, then come back and answer your question. And that's not good. I don't know why he's raised so much money. Beto O'Rourke raised a lot of money. They asked him in one thing like, hey, why don't we fight for lower prescription cost? And my God, it was 3 minutes. 2 minutes of him talking before he even said money, lobbyists, PACs, donors. That's why we can't get certain things done that need to be done that makes sense. It'd have been so much easier if he just said it. I actually agree with him. I actually support that. That's actually, we're in agreement. But I had to watch 2 different videos to get that because he can't just answer a question. So Beto O'Rourke, I don't know who these people are. It just goes to show there are very different Americas. There's an America that likes someone to go around a bend, down the street, through a hall, and they're sitting there mystified, big jaw, slack-jawed, slack-jawed because this guy's talking, his arms are moving, and they're just mesmerized by the most simplest explanation. The most simplest answer would have sufficed. We got too much money in our politics. We need to overturn Citizens United. We need to get money out of our elections. This system is corrupt. And let me explain to you why. Very basic. So, become a member of the Tim Black Wolf Pack. Follow me here. Tomorrow is Freedom Friday. That's where you get to call into the show and you get to say whatever's on your mind. It's up to you. Tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see you here. I got nothing but love for you. Have a great evening. What's left of it anyway. Remember, don't let nobody take your cornbread. And what else? Shout out to the Tim Black Wolf Pack. And let me say hello to anybody who's thrown a couple dollars to the thing here, because I don't want to. I'll be forgetting people like David Landry, a new member. Give it up for David, man. What's up, David? Welcome to the Wolf Pack. And Chris Blaylock. What'd you say, Chris? Tulsi's on Rogan Monday. Thanks for all you do, Tim. Thank you for letting me know that. I actually searched for that because I wanted to make that announcement. So you heard it right here first from Chris Blaylock. Tulsi will be back on the Joe Rogan show. See, it wasn't just an out-of-hand compliment or admittance that he was going to vote for Tulsi Gabbard. This is good for her. To the people that criticize me for making a video about Joe Rogan endorsing Tulsi Gabbard, he gets more views than CNN's broadcast. Joe Rogan has the second most downloaded podcast in the world. In the world. It's a no-brainer. She doesn't have to pay for it. He doesn't cut her off and smear her. He asks her questions, and they have a conversation. Unlike when she goes on MSNBC or CNN or The View. It's beautiful, and I want to thank Joe Rogan for giving her that opportunity. Last but not least, howdy doody. What's up, man? ADOS for Bernie. Americans, descendants of slaves for Bernie. I love it, man. I just believe that Bernie Sanders, at this moment, in so many ways, on the domestic side, Bernie's policies are more in line with what I think is going to help us achieve more equality in this country. But I have a very good, strong feeling about Tulsi Gabbard. I feel very comfortable with her. I still like some things about Andrew Yang. And of course, there's some things about Elizabeth Warren I like. I'm unchanged in that. I haven't endorsed anybody. At some point, I will. But I don't feel that my endorsement's going to change much. I'm not Joe Rogan, you know? But at some point, I will make an announcement about who I feel is the strongest candidate. But until then, I support everybody whose policies support poor people, working people, ADOS people, all people who are disenfranchised, who are living paycheck to paycheck, my students who are saddled with debt, my veterans living in the street, my homeless people who have jobs but still can't afford to pay rent to live indoors, my babies who live underneath the poverty line because their parents can't make enough, my brothers that are incarcerated for such horrendous acts as a blunt of weed. I got to fight for those people. I got to fight for them. I'm going to continue to do so. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Oh, I'm sorry, Facebook. Facebook shout-outs, True Bomb activists in the house. Steve Wolfenbrandt, Mark Mary Knox in the house. Suzanne Murphy's in the house. Right, Justin Forbes in the house. My people, thank you for being here tonight, guys. Jason Cow, thank you for being here. Bruce Linnell, what's up, Bruce? How you feeling, my friend? Uli's in the house. I love you, Uli. Roseanne Monterama. My man Dave from Stone Mountain's in the house. What's up, Dave? And Chris is in the house. Justin's in the house. Dion is in the house. Patrice Gardner's in the house. It's a great thing, man. I didn't forget about you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, though. Thank you for your patience. I love you. Share this with somebody you know. Let them know that there's truth and honesty and passion here on the Tim Black Show, and you just ain't going to get that everywhere. Peace.